Hey, welcome. Today we're diving into a really fascinating paper by Dr. Kailash Chand Samodha. And it gets you thinking about a huge question. In this nonstop race for progress, have we kind of forgotten what peace even is? So in this explainer, we're going to unpack his diagnosis and look at an ancient prescription for our very modern problem.
I mean, think about it. We live in an age of absolutely incredible technology and progress. We can talk to anyone on the other side of the planet in a split second. And yet, when you look around, global conflict, tension, this deep feeling of unrest, it feels like it's everywhere, more than ever. And that brings us to this big paradox. If we're so developed, why is real, genuine peace so tough to find?
So, this is really the heart of the matter, right? This clash between development and peace. Do they have to be enemies? Or maybe we've just been chasing a type of development that, by its very nature, just shoves peace right off the table. To even start to find a different answer, we've got to go back in time. Way back, about 2,500 years.
Okay, first things first, let's get something straight. The word Buddha isn't a name like John or Jane. It's a title. It literally means the awakened one or the enlightened one. It's describing a state of being, not some god you're supposed to worship. And that's super important because it frames this whole philosophy as something practical, something human-centered.
So who was the guy who actually earned this title? Well, the story starts not with some wise old philosopher, but with a prince. A guy named Siddhartha Gautama who went on one of history's most incredible journeys, all to figure out the root cause of all the suffering in the world.
Just try to imagine a life of total, absolute comfort. Siddhartha was born a prince, with every possible luxury you can dream of. His dad, the king, basically built a bubble around him to protect him from all the harsh realities of life. Sickness, old age, death? Nope, not in his world. So his life was perfect, but it wasn't real.
And this, right here, was the turning point. He ventures outside the palace walls and bam, he sees things he was never supposed to see. An old man, a sick man, and a dead body. And for the very first time it clicks. The universal truths of aging, illness, and death, he finally gets that suffering is an unavoidable part of life for everyone. No exceptions, not even for him.
That realization just completely shattered his perfect world. He couldn't go back to living a life of pointless luxury, not now that he knew the truth about suffering. So, at 29 years old, he does something absolutely radical. He walks away from it all, his wife, his newborn son, his kingdom. This massive decision, called the Great Renunciation, was the beginning of his quest to find not just the cause of suffering, but a cure for it.
So after years of trying everything, extreme discipline, deep meditation, Siddhartha finally has his breakthrough. He achieves enlightenment and becomes the Buddha, the awakened one. And what he discovered wasn't some mystical, hard-to-understand secret. It was actually a really clear, logical diagnosis of the human condition, which he laid out as 4 truths.
So what was this big insight? After all that searching, what did he finally conclude as the fundamental reason that we and our entire world suffer? Well, the answer he came up with is as elegant as it is powerful.
The 4 noble truths are basically laid out like a doctor's diagnosis. It's brilliant, really. First, you have the symptom. Life involves suffering and dissatisfaction. It just does. Second, the cause. Where does it come from? Our constant craving, our attachments, our desperate need for things to be a certain way. Third, the prognosis, and this is the good news. A cure is possible. Suffering can actually end. And finally, the prescription. The path to that cure is a set of practical steps called the Eightfold Path.
And this is where it all becomes a practical blueprint, not just for a better life, but for a more peaceful world. The prescription isn't just something to believe in. It's a course of action. It's the how-to guide.
Now, don't let the list intimidate you. The Eightfold Path is a really holistic system. You can think of it in 3 main buckets. First, you've got wisdom, which is about seeing the world clearly and being determined to follow the path. Second is ethical conduct. That covers how you speak, how you act, and even how you make a living. And third is mental discipline, which is all about your effort, your focus, and your awareness. See, each part just helps strengthen the others.
So how in the world does an ancient path apply to modern global politics? Well, it's actually way more direct than you might think. Take right speech, which means no lying, no harsh or divisive words. That's the bedrock of honest, constructive diplomacy. Right conduct, acting in ways that don't cause harm, that translates directly to nonviolence and de-escalating conflicts. And right livelihood, which says you shouldn't earn a living by harming others, is a pretty powerful argument against the global arms trade, isn't it?
And this brings us right to the core argument of the research we're exploring. The idea is that the principles that guide one person toward inner peace are the exact same principles that can guide entire nations toward a more stable, harmonious world. The personal and the global, they're totally connected.
And like Dr. Samota argues in his paper, this isn't just a nice idea. He's saying this ancient framework offers a real, tangible roadmap for modern international peace. It completely challenges the old idea that peace can only be achieved through force, or through treaties, or through economic muscle.
So get this, because this is the crucial point. The source of all the global conflict we see, the greed, the hatred, the ignorance, it's not out there, it's in here. The wars we see on the news are just a massive projection of the wars raging inside of individuals. A country full of angry, greedy people is, well, inevitably going to lead to a world full of conflict.
So the bottom line is this: lasting peace isn't something that can be forced on people by armies or signed into a contract. Those things are just temporary fixes. Real, sustainable peace has to be cultivated, like a garden. It has to start in the mind and heart of every single person, and from there it radiates outward, from the person to their family, to their community, and then finally to the world.
And so we're left with this one last really big question to think about. We spend so much time and energy trying to engineer peace in the world around us. But what if the most radical, the most effective act of peacemaking we could ever do is to first find it inside ourselves? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me for this one.